Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video we will see how we can create this nice and responsive sidebar in a React.js. Okay, so before we jump in a coding part, let's see how it looks like. So in a larger screens you see that we have this sidebar and we have this button, and by clicking on it the sidebar will disappear from the page, and if I click one more time on it, the sidebar will be back in a page. And in a smaller screens like mobiles, you see that we have this nav bar and we have this nav button here, and by clicking on it we will see the sidebar, and if I click one more time it will disappear from the page. Okay, so now let's jump in a coding part and see how we can create this sidebar. So as you can see, I've already created a React app, and I also update this app component, so I'm gonna explain it in a second, but before that you see that I've also added the assets folder. There you can put your images or logos and things like that, but for right now you see that we have just added a separate images folder, and there we can find the logo that we can use for this project. I've also added a style folder, and there we're gonna put our CSS files. And for right now you see that we have just one CSS file which is named index.css, and it will be the styling for this component. And inside this app component you see that at the top we are importing these from React Router DOM, which means that React Router will be one of the dependencies that we need for this project. We also need to install the React icons, but I'm gonna show you how you can install them after I explain this component. Thereafter we have this import, which is for the index.css. So we are importing the index.css, which will be styling for this component. Inside the component you see that before I go further, let me run this app so we can see if it is running correctly, and we can also have it beside this completed one. So you see we got an error that says React Router DOM is not resolved, and it means that we need to install it, but we're gonna install it in a minute. So now let me explain the rest of this app component. You see that here we have or I've added a state which is named there nav visible, and actually it is not the correct name. It should be sidebar visible, but you understand, or you can change it if you want. So you see that we have this navbar visible state, and this will be updated when we are clicking on this button. So when we click on it, it will be visible, so it will be true, and when we click one more time it will be false. We have these routes, so you see that for the elements for each routes I have added a div tag, and inside it I've added the h3 tag that says which page we are. So I didn't create a separate page or JavaScript file for each page, so I thought this will work fine for purpose of this tutorial. So each element for each route, you see that it will be, as I said, will be a div tag, and inside it we will have the h1 tag, which will be the name of the page. And as I said, depending on this nav visible, we will get either the page class name, or we will get this one, which will be page and page with navbar. And if we go to this index.css, you see that the page by default will have a flex spaces 100%, which means that the width of this page will be 100%. and actually this will be removed, so it will be 100%. And then we have this display flex and justify content and the align item center. So this is just to center this these ish one tags. And then we have this transition margin left 1 second, and this is because of this page with navbar. So you see when the navbar is visible, so we will add a margin lift of 50%, which will be actually, so you can see here, which will be this margin that added, and you can see that we are getting a smooth transition for the page, and it is because of this transition margin left 1 second. And so this margin left 50% is actually will be same as the width of this sidebar. Okay, so and by that means that I've also explained this one. So you see that we have here in route, the first one, and it is the root route, and when we are going to this route, we will be redirected. So this navigate component that I've imported from this React Router DOM, this can be used to redirect the user to the another page, and in this case will be dashboard. Okay, so this is the app component. So before we go further and create the sidebar component, let's install the dependencies that I've said in the beginning. To install the React Router and React icons, you can first open a new terminal. Then you can go to their page. So for the React icon, you can go to this link, and then below this installation, you can find the command that install this React icons. So you can copy it and paste it in a terminal. Then for the React router, you can also go to their page, and then at the installation section, you can find the 3 methods to install the React router. We're gonna use the npm, so we're gonna copy the command for the npm, and then we can paste it in a terminal and press enter. And by that, our dependencies will be installed. Now there is one more thing that I need to explain it, and it is inside this index.css. So I forgot to explain this part. First of all, you see that I've used the Google font, and for that you can go to the Google fonts and search for a font that you want to use. Then you can select one of them and select some size that you want to use. After that, you can you have 2 methods to include it in your project. You can use this link tag, so you can copy them, and then inside the public folder you have this index.html, and then you can paste it inside the head tag. But for my case, I'm gonna use this import method, so you can copy the code between the style tag, then you can paste it at the top of the CSS file. And this CSS file that we are importing this font should be the index CSS that is used at this app component, because this app component is the root component, so the other components will be like child of this component. So when you are applying this font inside this app component, it will be applied to other childs as well. And then you can see we also have some default styling for all elements. So you see that I've set the padding and margin to 0. I've changed the box sizing to the border box, and I also changed the font family to Open Sans that we've imported here. Then for this app class, you see, which will be this div tag, you see that I've changed display to flex and set the flex direction to column, and then width to 100%, and the height will be same as the device's height. We also, for the smaller screen, you see that we will not use the margin left, and it will make more sense that when we added the sidebar. Okay, so now let's add the sidebar component. For the components, I'm gonna add a new folder inside this source folder and name it components. Then I'm gonna add a new file inside this components folder, name it navbar.js. So this will be our sidebar. Here I'm gonna create a empty component. Then I'm gonna import some icons. So I can just copy and paste them. So here I'm importing these icons from React Icons FA, and this FA stands for Font Awesome. So these are Font Awesome icons. Then I'm gonna import the nav link from React Router DOM. Then for the component itself, first we need to pass two props. The first one will be visible, the second one will be show. So this visible will determine if the sidebar is visible or not, and the show will actually change the visible value. In our case, these two, so the visible and the show, will be this nav visible and show nav bar that we will pass to this component. The navbar component will return a React fragment. Inside it will have a nav. For the class name of the nav, we will check if visible is true. Then we won't have any class name. Otherwise, we will have the navbar as class name. Inside the nav, we will add a button. Give it a class name nav dash btf, so which stands for button. Then we will give it a type button. Then on a click event, we will check, or we are not checking, actually we are setting the visible to opposite of the current value of the visible. So if the visible is true, it will be false, and if it is false, it will be true. Inside this button, we will add the icon. For the icon, first we will check if visible is true, and if it is, then we will have the FA angle left as the icon. The size of the icon will be 30. Otherwise, we will have the FA angle right as the icon, and the size will be 30 as well. So this line will add this functionality. So you see, when I'm clicking on this button, this icon is changing. So this is what this line is doing. Then after this button, we're gonna add a div, and inside it we will add a nav link. This nav link will redirect us to slash route, which will be actually this route, and as you can see, this route will redirect us to the dashboard. So at the end we will get to the dashboard when we are clicking on this nav link. Then we will give it a class name of logo. So this will be actually the link for this logo. Inside it we will add an image. For the source of this image, we will set the source for require, and then assets, images, and the logo. We also set the alt value, the logo. So after this logo, you see we have these nav links. For that, I'm gonna add another div tag after this one. Then I'm gonna give it a class name links, and then nav top. Inside it, I'm gonna add a nav link. Actually, I'm gonna add the 3 nav links. And then the first one will redirect us to the dashboard. And the second one will be for this analytics route. And then the last one will be for the orders. So it will be this route. We also give them a class name, and it will be nav dash link. I'm gonna just pass it to all of them. Okay, so for the dashboard link, we'll have an icon, FA the large. Then the size. For the size, actually, I thought we can add a cons here at the top and name it icon size, and it will be 20. Then we can just copy this cons and paste it for the size. And I think it should be FA the large. Yeah, I misspelled it. Just correct it. Then for the text, we will have a span, and it will be dashboard. For the second one, the analytics, we will have a chart bar as a icon, and the size will be icon size. Then for the text, we'll analytics, and the last one will be FA shopping cart. Then the size, it will be icon size, and then the text will be span, and then the text itself will be ordered. Okay, so now these are our links, and the last part will be these 2 links at the bottom, and let's add them as well. So it will be another div tag after this one, and we will give it a class name links, And then here we'll have two nav link. The first one will redirect us to settings. The second one will redirect us to sign out. And actually we don't have any routes for sign out, so it won't show anything when we are clicking at logout. So for the icon for the settings, we will have the FACOG as icon. The size will be icon size, and the text will be settings. And here we'll have the FA sign out alt as icon. The size will be icon size. Then the text will be log out. For the mobile devices, so if I open it again, so you see in a mobile devices we are actually have another navbar here. So now let's add it. It will be actually at in the same component. We can add it before this nav tag. So it will be a div tag, and we will have a class name of mobile nav. Inside it we will have a button, and this button will have a class name mobile nav button, and then on a click it will actually do the same as this button, so visible. Then inside it we will have an icon. It will be FA bars, and then the size will be 30. And actually 30 will be too big, so it will be 24. And I think that's it. So now let's add this. As you can see, we didn't add any styling for this component yet, but we're gonna just see how it looks like for right now. To see it, first we need to import it here inside this app component. We're gonna import the navbar. Then we're gonna add it before this route. So we can type navbar, and the visible props will be this nav visible. The show will be, as I said, it will be show navbar. Okay, so now let's see how it looks like. So you see, it is not working yet, and it is because, as I said, there is no styling. Now let's add the styling for this navbar, and for that we need to add another CSS file here. And then name it navbar.css. We also need to import it here inside this navbar component. So I'm gonna import this style, and then navbar.css. We can start by styling this nav tag. So we can type nav, and then we can set the position to absolute. We can set the top to 0. We can set the left to 0. You can set the display to flex, and then flex direction will be column. So inside this nav tag, you see that we have a button. This button won't be affected by display flex because we will change the position of this button to absolute, but the rest of these div tags, so it will be actually this logo, these links, and these links. So we set them as a one column. Then we will have a width of 15%. As I said in the beginning, so inside this index.css, you saw that this page with navbar will have a margin left of 15%, and I said that it will be same as width of this navbar or sidebar in our case. Then the min height will be 100 VH, which will be same as the height of the window. The background color will be 75350. Then the padding, 2 rem for the type, 1 rem for the right, 1 rem for the bottom, and 1 rem for the left. And the transition will be transform 1 second. Then we will add the styling for the navbar, and here we set the transform, and it will be translate x, and it will be -100%. So as we saw here, when the visible is here, the class name, when visible is true, when visible is false, actually we will have the navbar as class name, and which will move the sidebar 100% to the left. So here you see now we don't have any sidebar because it is moved to the left. But if we remove this one, actually we just remove this one, you see that we have it back. Okay, so now let's add a styling for the nav button. So the nav button, actually I can just copy the whole styling for it. It's too long to write all of them, but I can explain it instead. So we have the position absolute, as I said. We have a top 20%, right 0. We give it a height and width. Then we are adding some border radius, and it will actually be border radius for top right and bottom right. So we are adding some border radius there, and then we are setting the display to flex, and this part is just to center the icons. Then we changing background, we are setting the outline and border to none, we are changing the font size to 1, changing the padding to the bottom and the top will be 5 pixels, and the left and right will be 10. The cursor, pointer, and the text color and will be white, which this will change the color of the icon as well. Okay, so there is just this one, the transformation that we've here made. You see that if by default, when we set the right to 0, so you see that it will be here, but we will actually, it will be moved a bit further, and it is what this translate x does, and this 38 is actually will be same as this width of the bottom, but we can actually have it same, so it won't affect too much like that, so it will be actually same. So here we go. Okay, so now let's add a styling for the nav link. Link. Here we will have a display flex. We will set the line items center. We set the color to white. We set the text decoration to none. And then we set the padding to 10% for the vertical, and for the horizontal it will be just 1 rem. Then the border radius will be 5 pixel, and the margin bottom will be 5 pixel as well. So here let's change the logo as well, so we can give it a style for logo so it looks better. Can actually add it after this nav button. Can type logo, display block. The width will be 100 pixel. The margin will be auto. The background color, or actually the background will be transparent, and it should be logo log. And for the image inside this logo, we will set the display to block as well. We set the width to 100%, and the height will be 100% as well. So now if we open it again, you see it looks better. I think here I forgot something. So here at the nav I forgot to set the justify content, and it should be a space between. So by doing it, we are adding this space between these 3 elements. Okay, so for there is just here for the text of the nav link, can type nav link span, and here we can set the margin left 10 pixel. So right now they were so too close, and we are adding some space between them. I've just noticed that these 2 links didn't get any styles. It's because I forgot to give them a class name. So I'm gonna give the class name here, and it should be nav link, and also for this one I'm gonna also remove the links class name. So we're gonna just remove the class name from this div tag, and I'm gonna remove the links from here. Then there is one more thing that we have to do here inside this nav bar. It's to move this nav top to the same div tag as this logo. So after the nav link with the class name logo, we can paste it, and that's it. Because we will right now, you see, we have we don't want this this link at the center. Rather, we want just to have them at same at the top with some margin from the logo. So now let's add the margin here. We can type nav top, then we can add a margin top 10 pixels or 10 rem, and here we go. Now we also need to add this hover effect. For that we can type so we can add it here and have a nav link, then the hover, then we can change the background color. Can have this background color, and we can have the color to the 4E, 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 and so here we go. Now as you can see, we have this the styling for the mobile nav bar left. So now let's add the styling for the mobile nav bar. For that we can type mobile nav, or it was mobile nav, yeah. Here we will set the background color to the same as this nav tag. So I'm going to just copy and paste it here. Then we can set the width to 100%, and we can set the height to 40 pixel. Then we can set the display to none. We can, and it would be so. And then we also need to add a styling to the mobile nav button. Here we change the color to white. We can set the background color to, or we can set the background to transparent. Then we can set the outline, and so we can set the outline to none and the border to none, and we can set the margin to, for the horizontal we will 10 pixel as a margin. So as you can see, we set the display to none by default because we will, this nav, the mobile nav will be shown just in a mobile devices, and for that we're gonna use the media, and we're gonna only screen, and when the max width is 450 pixel, then we will set the mobile nav and display to flex, and align items to center. Then for the, we also change the styling of the nav. We change the width to 70%. We adding space to the top, 38 pixel, and it should be it should be just near the height of the mobile nav. So it is 40. We can set it to 39 or 38. Min height we can calculate 100 VH minus 38 pixels. Then we set nav button to display to none, because this nav button we don't need this in a mobile devices. Rather, we're gonna use this button instead. So I'm gonna also change the width for the bit bigger screens, like so here first I'm gonna add a space for screens with a max width of 768. So here the nav will have a width of 40%, and we also get adding a padding of 10 pixel. So, and I think that's it. So now let's check how it looks like, and I'm gonna just refresh it. So as you can see, it is working as it should. Let's check for a bit smaller screen. So here you see that so as you can see, the width of the sidebar is 40%, and you can also see that the width of the page is 100% in a smaller screen, and it is because of these lines. And then for the mobiles we can check, like here you see that we have the mobile navbar, and when we are clicking on it you see that we are getting the sidebar. So by that means this will be the end of the video. So I hope the video was helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you had any question, you can leave it in the comment section below, so I'm gonna try to answer them if I know the answer. So thank you for watching.